What's going on, everybody? It's your man Chris Desir, aka 180C, back with another video. This gonna be an astrology live stream, part 3. How to get anything that you want out of astrology, anything at all out of astrology. This is gonna be part 3, and we're going to be talking about fortune, which is the ninth house, ruled by Jupiter, and is a home sign of Sagittarius. And we're going to be talking about the mind, intellect, messages, communication, transfer, which is the third house, ruled by Mercury, ruled by Gemini. It's been a little while since I've been on the stream, but I've been working, practicing when it comes to doing my astrological work to get better, to not only understand myself, but to learn how to understand the world around me. And I come to realize through my work and travel is everybody's going to see the chart a little bit differently. Certain planning, certain aspects are going to play out different in your life than they are going to do in mine. This is why if you want to be an astrologer, you got to be able to first watch. You got to be able to observe the world around you when certain things happen in the natal chart, when certain transits go on. And you got to see how do those certain planets, how when certain planets go into certain houses, how when those certain planets in those certain houses get affected by different signs, and how it's going to manifest in your life. Because Mercury might be communication for me in the third house. For you in the third house might be that you're thinking of something to do better for yourself and for other people. The ninth house being Sagittarius, opposite the third house, which is Gemini, is luck, fortune, travel, foreigners, heights, jumping, leaping, the conscious part of your mind that determines right from wrong, the merciful aspect of the Father, abundance. It also can mean excess. So you got to look at that dichotomy first and how that's going to play out. Why is it that education, also being Sagittarius, is also opposite the mind, intellect, thought transference, communication, writing, pencils, pens, paper, graffiti, Gemini? Why is the ability to communicate opposite the ability to learn? Well, if you think about Virgo, Virgo is accuracy. You got to be accurate. You got to be accurate in your results because there is a mutable square. There are the cardinal signs, the fixed signs, and the mutable signs. The mutable signs are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. Gemini, I already told you, is the mind, communication of all kinds, messages of all kinds. Virgo is accuracy, numbers, well, not numbers per se, but accuracy, cleanliness, organization, routines, habits, practice, perfection. Then it comes to Sagittarius, which I've already explained, travel, education, foreigners. Then it goes to Pisces, which is belief. It is delusion. It is loneliness. It is seclusion. Underground, the sea, the ocean, odors, smells of all times, chemicals, faith, the unseen world, the unprovable. And each one of these four squares, all 90 degrees away from one another, all make up the mutable cross. And when they make up this mutable cross, it begs a question that people must ask themselves. Why? Well, let's start with Gemini. First, you must have an idea in your mind Once you have an idea in your mind, well, let's skip all the way to Virgo. Then you're going to go act on that idea. You're going to analyze the idea. You're going to put the idea into practice to see if the idea works. Practice working, Virgo. Once you've done that and realize your idea works, you can now teach that idea, Sagittarius. You see, you can't just go straight from having an idea and then trying to go teach it. Think about this in real life. Not everything you learn in school is going to be the first thing on your brain. There's a certain curriculum that you got to follow when it comes down to teaching, preaching of all kinds. It's not every little thing that you think about is going to be in that book or they're going to teach you. Sometimes you got to think for yourself, and sometimes you need to put your ego to the side and just follow the rules and learn. And after you finish ascending to that higher state of realizing your idea works and you get it done, now you're going to Pisces. Now you establish a belief based on what you've taught. You've taught it so many times to other people, you've repeated it so many times, you've started to believe it. It envelops you. You can go fantasies about it. You can end up being secluded in your idea because people may not understand you anymore because you are now so enveloped into what you were doing, what you were chasing, what you were hunting, what you were searching for. All of these were Sagittarius. Once you finally get it, the only people who are going to be able to understand you are those who went through the process, the journey, Sagittarius, to get to the belief state like you, now in Pisces. So you can feel lonely, Pisces, because you realize not everybody's gotten to the place that you have got. And when you're alone, or when you believe in something and not everybody else believes in what you're believing in, you may start to talk about it now. Spread the message. You're not necessarily teaching anymore, but you're at a place where you can now think about what you believe in and potentially write about it. You're not necessarily teaching it anymore, but you're putting it in an art form, a platform, where other people can access it and get the information out there so you don't necessarily have to teach it yourself. Now you're back to Gemini again. It all comes full circle. But let's talk about fortune and how you actually get it in the zodiac chart. How you actually get fortune. I'm not going to lie to you in this next statement. Not everyone is destined in this life to be fortunate. Not everyone is destined in this life to be fortunate. We all know this. Not everybody's going to be rich, per se. But that doesn't mean you can't live a happy life. Happiness is also Sagittarius. Jupiter. That doesn't mean you can't live a happy life. And not everybody is going to be a critical thinker, Gemini. Some people are just, quote unquote, smarter than others. Some people apply themselves more than others when it comes to the mental faculty of their mind. But look at it this way. What if you're looking through your birth chart and you see you're already a person who's not really destined for great wealth or value, or you're a person that's not destined to be a great speaker, a great author, a great teller of stories. Just because your birth chart overall says that is not the path in life you cannot follow, does not mean that there are not instances, moments, transits in your personal life where only for those specific periods of times you can now act upon those things. You may not struck the lottery for $3 million, but you can, for a fact, have a day or a couple of days in your life where you could win 10,000, 50,000, a little bit extra money to put into your account. You may not win the bet on the big numbers, but you can have certain days, certain weeks where if you go into an event with somebody and you say, if I challenge you to this event, I'm gonna win. There are certain days that God ordained if you want to go by God. There's a certain events and days and periods in your life. If you know how to look for them, God specifically puts in your life. During this period of time, if you want to be victorious, if you want to win, if you want to be lucky, you can do that. It won't last your entire life, but you can have that one moment to shine for that little period of time. But that can only happen if you know what to look for. Intelligence. Now let's go back to Gemini. You may have wanted to learn another different language in your life. You may have wanted to learn how to be more of a personal speaker. You probably want to learn how to gather people's attention, get people entrapped by what you gotta say. You probably wanted at some point in time. Maybe even to write a book, tell your own stories. Again, if you look at your own birth chart, you may not be a Gemini, you may not be a Sagittarius. You could be a Virgo, you could be a Pisces, you could be a Leo. You could be more of a leader type. You could be more of a leader type. You may be a Capricorn, you may be a business oriented person. You may be a Libra, you may be more into politics per se. Taurus, you may be value oriented, food oriented. You might be a chef or a cook. You might be a chef or a cook. But let's say, for instance, you're a chef or a cook. Venus in Taurus, you're a cook. You have a lot to do with food. And maybe it's your 10th house, which will make you a Leo. Maybe you're a cook. Right? Let's say you wanted to write a cookbook so you can sell that cookbook to make more money. Venus, Taurus, which is your 10th house, if you're a Leo for this instance. You may not be good at writing per se, and it may show in your natal chart. You in your 11th house, which would be Gemini. You in your 11th house, which may be Gemini, you may have Saturn there, which is restriction, limitation, lack, borders, barriers, limitations of all kinds. Just because Saturn is there in your natal chart does not mean that Saturn stays fixed there for your entirety of your life. You must use your birth chart as the basis of how to read your chart to go forward in your life. But that is all it is, the basis. The birth chart will not necessarily tell you what's going to happen to you right here now today. You cannot look at the birth chart on the day you were born and have it tell you events that are supposed to happen to you right here now today. This is why you have to learn how to progress the chart, because as every day, hour, minute, second happens in your life real time, you watch the clock, look it on your wristwatch, look on the screen, look anywhere. Time keeps moving forward. And as time keeps moving forward, so do the planets shift in our solar system around the sun. And even the sun itself shifts. And this is where we get time from. Our movement, everything keeps moving. The birth chart isn't locked. all the events in your life will be based off that original birth chart. But that does not mean Saturn will stay in a debilitated position for you your entire life. There will be positions in time in your life where you will have Mercury in Gemini, and Jupiter might be there as well too. Writing, speaking, and Jupiter, fortune. You can be real fortunate writing a book. You're still going to be, you still, from your natal chart, are a Leo, and your 10th house is still going to be Taurus. And again, you might be a cook. You might be working in the economy. You might be working in the stock market. And you want to make some extra residual income by writing a book. But you know you haven't been good with writing a book your entire life. So you might just think, or the average person will think, I can't write a book. I can't do that. It's not possible. I've never been able to do that before. Never been good at it. Won't work now. Or instead, you may think, now I must continue practicing writing at a book every single day. Every single day. Until I finally get it. That's not even an optimal strategy. I'm trying to teach you. I'm trying to get you to know. You can find the right date and time in your life for everything that you want and get it to the highest extent possible for you. That's what astrology allows you to do. Practically, I am a Virgo rising. Practicality, work, practice. I want it to be practical. I want to be able to use it. I want it to be viable. Therefore, I want to be accurate with how I do my astrology. I want to be accurate with making the money. For example, Venus. So you want to write a cookbook, make you a little bit extra residual income, or you just want to have a means to teach people how to do your recipes. You could look through the transiting sky and see. Currently today, for all you know, Mercury could be in your 11th house. Or you could see Mercury is transiting through your 3rd house, and the 3rd house is Gemini. Or Mercury could be in your 11th house if you're a Leo. In your 11th house, in this instance, would be Gemini. Now, you are more privy to writing. And if Jupiter ends up being there as well, you are going to be really fortunate if you write a book and publish it during that period of time. Now, does it exactly work as simple as looking at the transiting sky? Not exactly. You need to do more math than that to get the exact answer. But this is how you have to think. This is how astrologers came up with this in the first place. And it is a general rule of thumb that will work out for you. Now, all the conditions are met. The planets are in good harmonic aspect to each other. They're in the right sign, or they're in the right house. And they'll be there for how many period of days? Jupiter will be at the same degree for anywhere from 11.86 days about. And Mercury, I should know this off the top of my head. I can't remember Mercury exactly, but it should be there for a couple of days. So anywhere in between that period of time where they're both around the same degrees, that general idea, that general rule of thumb is where God says, this moment of time right here, right now, if you want to use it to write a book, if you want to use it to be fortunate with that, do it right then and there. Because when that transit leaves, you're going to have to wait until they come back and align again. And depending on how old you are, you may not see that alignment come back again in that same sign or in that same house for the rest of your life. Because Mercury and Jupiter have hundreds of keywords for each of them. Hundreds of keywords for each of them. On that specific day that you could have used, or on that specific period of time you could have used to write a cookbook, on those specific days, period of time, you could have been talking to your sibling, younger sibling, Mercury, and they could have made you laugh, Jupiter. That same time and place, the energies will play out regardless. The energies will play out regardless. You can't stop the energy from playing out. But if you know privy, if you know beforehand when the energy is coming up, you can now quote unquote manipulate the situation to now use it to your advantage to get something out of it. This is how you truly use astrology to your advantage. And if you want astrology for a general reading to let you know what events could happen in your life, get an astrology reading for that, or why things are currently happening in your life. You can get an astrology reading for that. But I say that's more of a passive approach. If you want to actively get something beneficial out of using the astrology, you need to apply it to your life when transits, when progressions come about. And again, if you cannot get an astrologer to do that for you, you must be able to do that for yourself to see when certain things will affect you in your life. To see if certain things can happen or if you've already passed the day. There's so many people have dreams that they can still do X, Y, and Z, but they didn't realize that planetary energy left for them. And they will never see it in their lives ever again. And what do I mean by that? Let's say you have Uranus, the planet Uranus, in Capricorn, for instance, Capricorn or Sagittarius. The next time the planet Uranus, no matter what degree, whether it's in degree 0 or degree 29, as soon as it leaves Capricorn and goes into Aquarius, the next time it will go around the circle and end up back into Capricorn will be 84 years from the original date. It takes Uranus about 84 years to go around the zodiac. Some people may not even live to be 84 years old. And that's not even the slowest moving planet in the zodiac. It's not even. Neptune and Pluto are far slower than it. Far slower than it. So when certain alignments happen, certain energies and aspects happen in your life, I encourage everyone to take advantage of that energy and find out about that energy when it comes through, when those electromagnetic frequencies align. But you're going to have to know the rules. You're going to have to know the rules. You're going to need to know how planets move. You're going to need to know your own personal planetary degrees. You're going to need a basic understanding of the birth chart. And off those things alone, and you got to know some keywords. Off that alone, you can be a pretty good mundane astrologer. In the realm of astrology today, you could be a pretty good mundane astrologer. But if you want to truly take access in your birth chart, access in your life, I recommend you to search up Cosmo361 on Instagram and book yourself a reading. Call the number, book yourself a reading. And if you really want to become a student, go through the process, become a student, and try to catch up to me. Because again, I am a Virgo rising. I did not know that before I ran into Cosmo361, Ra'aku on Instagram. COZMO361. I thought I was a Leo rising because on online birth charts, if you go to astro.com, AstroSeek, all these astrology cafe, astrology.com, all of these use the same formula, which will tell you your ascendant is this. That wasn't accurate. That wasn't accurate. I thought I was a Leo. I am actually a Virgo. And beforehand, I did not know what was the difference between a Leo and a Virgo. But it wasn't until I finally paid to get into the course, started learning more about myself, that I realized, oh, I really am a Virgo. I really am a Virgo. That's interesting. So not everything you will see online, per se, especially about astrology, will be accurate. But again, if you want to get into astrology, and when you're first starting out, go ahead. It took me about a year before I got to this point. And I started off with regular astrologers on YouTube, regular books that I found online, and just started reading. You got to work your way into this for you to start understanding the world around you and understanding how it works. I didn't even think, for example, that astrology could get this far, but again, I am a Gemini, so I had an idea in my mind. Once I realized that astrology is just not for reading your own personal birth chart, it doesn't just work on you or me as humans. This can read life events, presidents, natural disasters, release dates, lottery winnings. It can read animals, cars. Astrology is the divine science of God. It is the template of how we can read the universe as a whole. And for most people, you're thinking, what does that have to do with me? You don't need to worry about that. I'm a Gemini, so only a few people with a certain level of intelligence will even be able to comprehend how far this science truly goes. But I already told you in the very beginning of this video, you could use this potentially to get whatever you want. You just have to see, track, find out, either yourself or through an astrologer that is trained properly. When did God, or when does God say you can get what you want? When does God say you can finally do this thing you were trying to do and do it without fail? Do it without fail. You want to buy a new car and have no problems with it? Do it now. You want to go on vacation and have it be a wonderful time? Do it now. You want to find a new lover, find a new mate, have a fun recreational time? You can do it now. You can do it now. You just got to know when. Everything is right timing and right place, right time. That is all equivalent in the birth chart. We have humans have known about this science for millions of years. Millions. Hundreds of thousands to millions of years. We've known about this. We've known about it. Why do I bring this up? This is serious stuff. This is how we study. This is how we have come to know the world. This is how we tell time. How do you tell time? By the sun. You don't tell time by a clock. You tell time by a clock. You don't tell time by a clock or whatever it says in the timestamp. Time by a clock was first developed after they were able to artificially transvert how people were naturally tracking the sun into a mechanical form. Everything mechanical is Aquarius. Everything mechanical is Aquarius. And even astrology is ruled by Uranus, which rules Aquarius. Technology of all kinds, even this right now. Aquarius. It's Aquarius. What is this to say? First level of astrology is realizing at first that it does for a fact work, and it does for a fact tell you about yourself, tell you about your life. It tells you about yourself and it tells you about your life. Next thing it realizes as one goes through the process, if it can not only tell me about my life, can it tell me about other people's lives? Now you go through the process and you realize, oh, look, it works for other people as well. It's not just me. It's not a placebo effect. This actually works. Most people are not going to get into the nitty-gritty details of the math or the science behind it. But I want you to remember to keep this idea in mind. Once you know how to use astrology accurately, you can have your 5 seconds of fame. You wanted to be famous for a day. You wanted people to love you on the show. You wanted to get on a personal TV show. You wanted to talk to famous people, get in positions where famous people are. You want to have a luxury cruise for free, basically. You can do that. You can have superpowers, per se. Do things that are considered unimaginable to the regular human. You can be superhuman only for a period of time. And this got to be put into the right hands, because if you're put into the wrong hands, you can get away with some things too. You can get away with some things too. I envision a world, a couple years or so, maybe a couple hundred, not too long, where astrology becomes a forefront thing. Becomes a forefront thing. And more people realize what can be done with astrology, and is going to innovate and push this age that we live in to a higher plateau, higher form than it already is now. A world where people are more meticulous, more detached from guessing, more accurate with their emotions, per se. A world where people, for instance, have more closure when it comes to certain life events, because they just realize it's always just been this way and this is how the world works. Most people will not get to this level astrologically as of today. Most people don't even think or want to believe that this is possible to get to this level as of today. They don't even want to try. But for those few who want to watch and figure out how life events work, how to figure out when your final day on this planet will be, how to figure that out, and you want to figure out when the final day of your loved ones are going to be, You can do that as well. There is power in astrology, especially when we are in a world where most people don't know how to use the power. Most people are ignorant to how powerful, how crazy, how beneficial astrology can be. They really don't know. And those few who figure it out and use the quality wise, will be able to catch up to me. But once you've caught up to me, we're all on the same playing field. We already know how it works. There's not going to be any animosity because you just get it. And if you're going to do it at the level that I am striving to get to, then you'll really get it. Because I want to take this far. I want to take this far. This is natural law we're talking about. This is the law. This is the rule book. This is the play-by-play of God. This is the play-by-play of God. The amount of things that you can do with this science, unreal. And it excites me every time. Because I'm not going to lie to you, there are days where it is hard to do this. Very hard to do this. Very, very hard to do this. Because you have to consistently be on the watch 24/7 your entire life. Because no matter how good you get at astrology, you will never truly understand everything about it. But the few things that you do learn and figure out in this life will never change, ever. They will always work. They always have been working. They always will continue to work while you use them, or if you don't use them anymore. And they will long work after you're gone. I want you to take in the complete understanding of just how vast, truly infinite this science is, and how much of an understanding you can get about not only yourself and others around you. Mars is fire. The moon is water. Mars will always point to red. The moon will always point to water. You will never see the moon pointing to fire. The moon will never point to red things. The moon will point to off-white things. Mars will always point to red things. Mars will always point to red. Those never switch. There are some key things that you gotta know. Certain keywords belong to certain planets and they never interchange. You may have instances where, for example, Mars is in the first house, or the moon is in the first house. The moon or Mars is in the fourth house. You say the same thing about both of those. The moon also points to the home. Mars is fire. Moon is the home, Mars is fire, right? Moon is the home, Mars is fire. Put those two words together, a potential outcome could be house, fire. The moon was the home, or the fourth house was the home, Mars there pointing to fire. Mars on its own will never point to the home. The moon on its own will never point to fire. Those keywords are locked to the planets that describe them. But when they come together, when you are able to read a chart, when you're able to give a delineation of a chart, you'll see how the combinations play out in everyday real life. How they play out in everyday real life. You must realize this. You must realize this. I blanked out a little bit. I blanked out a little bit. Give me a second. Where do I want to go with this point? Because there's so much to talk about, but at the same time, I've already talked about it all that I care about, at least. Huh. Interesting. There are only 12 types of people on this planet. There are only 12 zodiac signs, 30 degrees apart to make a 360-degree circle. If you're born from 0 to 29 of Gemini and your sun is there, you're a Gemini sun. 0 to 29 of Cancer, you're Cancer. 0 to 29 of Leo, you're Leo. 0 to 29 of Virgo, Virgo, and on and on and on. There's no such thing as a double cusp, baby. The days don't matter. It doesn't matter if it is March 21st or March 20th, and you're saying, I could be a Pisces or I could be a Aries. The days don't matter. The degrees do. Check on a chart. Check on a chart. Go on an online chart. And you can check on these online and they'll generally give you an accurate answer. They'll give you unanimously, or at least when it comes for the sun sign, a unanimous answer. There's no such thing as double cuss, baby. That's Instagram astrology. That is Twitter astrology. That is people who don't know nothing about anything, just talking about astrology. As much as people don't want to hear that, that's not astrology. That's not how it works. Anybody trying to tell you that's how it works, they are just wrong. They have been misinformed by whoever told them or whatever website or even astrology book they may have gotten from. Why is that important? Once you're coming to learn astrology, you must understand the math matters. The math has to be accurate. Math is Saturn, which is ruled by Capricorn, or which rules Capricorn, to better speak. To better speak. Because if the math is incorrect, you could be off by a day, you could be off by a week, a month, you could even be off by a year if you read it incorrectly, or especially if you're trying to figure out a specific date and time for when certain events will be active for you. If you want to be active, per se, Aries. If you want to make money or do some cooking, Taurus. Speaking, Gemini. Buying a home, Cancer, the moon. Doing things around the home. You want to express your love with a partner, Leo. You want to set a new habit, set a routine, Virgo. You want to set some rules, balance. You want to compromise with somebody, Libra. You want to convince somebody to do something for you, Scorpio. You want to teach something, Sagittarius. You want to do some math, or you want to start a business, corporation, Saturn, Capricorn. You want to gain more knowledge on something, or you want to mess with some technology, buy a new piece of technology, want some technology to work out for you the way that you want it to work, Aquarius. You want to buy some beauty products, cosmetics. You want to meditate, you want to relax, Pisces, Neptune. Depending on what you want, find the exact planet where that is in your natal chart. See how privy you are to it first. See how privy you are to it first to give you a general idea from anything, wherever the planet Saturn is, whatever house, whatever sign. Expect delays, limitations, things like that. Wherever Jupiter is, expect fortune when it comes to that aspect. Wherever Mercury is, you could be talkative, more talkative when it comes to that aspect. Way more talkative when it comes to that aspect. The moon, emotional. The sun, which what you actively do. Or how you go about your personality wise. Mars, where you're more impatient. You're quick, fast. Active, actual activities regarding that matter. Venus, money orientated, beauty orientated, balance orientated. Uranus, you might be weird, odd in that area. You might be detached in the area. And it's an area where you have a lot of knowledge in. Neptune, if you want to relax, where you have your beliefs, where your beliefs lie, things like that. Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto. Pluto, where you have power, you have the will, you have the way to do something, where you could be more convincing on the matter. Pluto. Now you got the basis of the chart. Now you got that basis of a chart, and you have a general idea of how that plays out in your life. Some planets are going to be conjunct, some one sign away, 2 signs away, 3 signs away. Each sign is 30 degrees. So if it's on the next sign, if it's in the next sign, 30 degrees away generally. 2 signs, 60. 3 signs, 90. Go all the way until you get back to 360, which is going to be the first sign you started at. I recommend starting at your sun sign. Just counting from there. And if you land back in the same sign that your sun is in, you made a full 360 degrees. Generally, let's keep it like that. After you look at your natal chart, look at a transiting chart for today, for instance. See where the planets are today. Guarantee you, majority of your planets are not going to be the exact same place they were on your birthday, because planets move. If you're looking at it at the same month of your birthday, your sun is going to be in the same sign, but it's not going to be at the same degree unless you're looking at this video or looking at your natal chart on your birthday. And you could say you're a double cusp baby. You could have been born on the 21st. If you're talking about days, your birthday may come up today again, and you may see the sun is not at the same degree today as it was on your birthday, but the sun is on that degree. Your sun may come up to be your birthday on the day after your birthday. It may be March 22nd. You might see that pop up. Did that mean you didn't age? Days don't matter. Degrees do. Remember, we got the days. The days are a derivation of degrees. The degrees came first, then the days system came after. Now that you see where the chart is for today, do the same thing that you did for your natal chart. See where the planets are, where they're aligned today, and do the same general thing. All right, this is here. It's in this sign. I kind of want to do this, and this. You don't even need to necessarily go outside and do something. Just look at the chart. If you have an online chart, if you have the ability to do this, you may not. Leave the chart on and just watch it. Leave the chart on and watch it move. See if you can get a live chart that is actively moving. Don't just look at a chart that only shows you the numbers of, for example, it may be sun 4 degrees and 46 minutes of arc and maybe 32 seconds of arc. Don't get a list that just shows the symbols. Get an actual website that shows you the full chart and try to look at the full chart and look at it for the day. I'm gonna give an example. This is my personal software, but if I can show you this. Look at this. It's for today. It's for today. And look, the seconds, they're moving. And you see these things? Just watch as the planets move. Do it on a minute basis. And to see where the cusp are. Don't worry what sign they are. To see where the planet is, and as soon as it crosses over a cusp, look in your environment. Look on the TV screen. Look outside in your area. Look to see what happens. Try to find some general keywords for each and every sign. And just watch and see. Oh my gosh. Something actually happened. When this happened, somebody walked in. When this happened, that happened. When this happened, that happened. This is how you start. Besides just how you get your head out of the books, this is how you get your head out of the forums, this is how you get your head out of just listening to other people. When you start applying this yourself, it gets you more into the experience. It gets you more to realizing that this is real life. This shows you how real life really works. You don't need to live your life in guesswork anymore. You don't just have to hope and pray to the wind that God makes things go your way. You can see when good things are going to happen, and you can see when bad things are going to happen. You're trying to plan a trip, Jupiter. You're trying to plan a, no, you plan a trip, Venus, and you want to, Jupiter, take a flight somewhere. On those days you plan to take the trip or the day of the flight, see where Saturn is. If Saturn is in the ninth house, for example, during the hour that you're going to be taking the flight is going to be delayed. Restrictions, delays, Saturn. If Saturn is happening while you're going to take a flight, Jupiter, or you're going to travel long distance, more than 70 miles from your home, your hometown, home state, home address, the moon, if Saturn is there, you're going to get there late. There are going to be delays for the flight. All of that. You want to make sure you plan your thing. This is how you can avoid bad things or misfortunate events from happening to you. But again, if you don't know how the energy is going to play out while you're actively going through your day, you're going to run into the energy anyways. Instead of coercing the energy to now give you a different result, when you want it. The Saturn and Jupiter means pain from laughing. You might be laughing and then somebody tells you a joke so funny it actually hurts. Better that than you be spending an extra 2 hours delayed trying to get to where you need to get to a location if you just planned the trip or vacation on a beneficial day. Jupiter in the ninth, Venus in the ninth, beneficial day. Take the trip and vacation. You don't want to do anything really being in long term on a Saturn. I did some things on a Saturn, I won't lie to you, because it can be tough or it can be painful and it can take a long process. And this is how you quote unquote stop negative things from happening to you or prevent as many quote unquote negative things from happening to you as you can. You cannot stop the energy from happening, but you can make sure but you can move your life to have the energies play out in a more beneficial way to you than you want. But does this mean that you can stop anything from happening? No. There are certain transits in your life regarding Pluto and Saturn that can mean the end of your life or the end of somebody else's life for you. Somebody else close to you, somebody you know's life for you. You may prevent it from happening to you, but you may get into a car and get a phone call from somebody you weren't expecting, Uranus, and you may hear, oh, XYZ person died. You can't stop that transit from happening. But you can see when it's going to happen to somebody else, and you can see when it's potentially going to happen to you, and you can try to stop it to the best of your ability. But worst comes to worst, one day, your life will stop, and you will return, recycle, until you get back to be able to do this again, or at least, this is what we believe. And as I say this, I look, Pluto, rebirth, is in the 12th house right now, which is belief. And Saturn, stop, is in the first house, activity, physically. You see how this works? See how this works? You're not even cognizant when things will happen. But the more cognizant of you are of when things are going to happen, you can realize when things are going to go your way and when things cannot, and you can work around it. And this has been Chris's here, 100 Agency. I don't make these videos too often, but trust me, when I'm able to play out my birth chart correctly, you'll see a lot more of me. Catch y'all next time.